Today, we're talking about 5 tips to help you run a successful leader retreat for your youth ministry staff.
Hello, Youth Ministry Nation. My name is Jeff Lascola, and this is
Kristen Lascola.
And we are back again, giving you another episode with tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. Today, we're talking all about retreats, and specifically leader retreats.
Yes, how to run a successful leader retreat. And I didn't do this for years. There were years and years and years
that you didn't have leaders.
They were like, stop calling me. The answer is no.
I don't know who you are. I'm not going to a cabin in the woods.
You'll love it. No, I mean, I just didn't do a leader retreat for a long time. It was one of those things that I always aspired to do. And I saw other ministries doing it. And I thought, how cool. But honestly, I didn't think I could pull it off. I didn't think I could pull it off financially. I just assumed I didn't have the budget to do it. I didn't feel like I had the time to do it, and I didn't feel like I knew how to execute it. And so there was a year, 2016, when I had heart surgery and I had to stay in bed for like a month and recover, but I'm an Enneagram 3, so we still have to get things done. And so I remember getting on VRBO and what's the other one? Airbnb, all those things.
I think it's Verbo. I'm the one who always says VRBO.
It is Verbo.
I say it wrong.
They say that on the commercials. You're right. And I just started saying to myself, I think I could figure this. I have a month in bed. I think I could figure this out. And so I started calling around to see if there was like a cool cabin or something like that we could rent. So that's kind of number one of what we're going to talk about, is how to make it affordable. Because maybe you're like me and you're like, I can't pull this off. We don't have the budget to do it. Well, maybe you do, and you just don't realize you do. Because I did. And for years, I didn't realize I could do it. But you could. Keith. So what I did is I found an area that I was interested in that was far enough away that it felt like we were going somewhere, but close enough to where we weren't going to spend all of our time on travel, and people could pop in if they needed to. So there was this area in the mountains, probably about an hour from where we live, and it's really pretty, right on a lake. And so I just started finding available Verbos, and I would actually contact the owner and say, hey, I work at North Coast Church. Do you do any special discount for nonprofits or churches or ministries? I'm hoping to take my leaders on a retreat.
And the cool thing about that is more than likely they don't, but simply asking might be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
And a lot of people said no, but I didn't care because I only needed one person who would say yes.
That's how I felt with marriage.
How many other people did you ask?
One, you, and that was it. And I got a yes. So
you didn't even have to use your backup plan. So I figured I only need one person to say yes. I've got time. So what do I care? So I finally found this guy who is a Christian, and he went to a church over in that area. And he was so excited to be able to bless our ministry. He's like, oh my gosh, I love hosting churches and youth groups and blah, blah, blah. Well, not youth groups, youth workers. And he said he would give me a deal. And I was like, sold. And the cabin was beautiful, well kept, and was exactly the size that I needed.
Nice.
And I thought the price was really fair for the weekend. And so I'm like, awesome. I found my guy. I found my place. And it was just this matter of asking. Now, another strategy for your location is there could quite possibly be people in your very church who have some cool timeshare, maybe locally. Maybe they have a vacation home in the mountains or at the beach or somewhere that they're willing to let you. Or maybe they're like an executive that has like a random hookup or something like that. That's one of those things that you just need to ask.
The power of ask.
And they will, because they might never know you needed to know that information. So for example, that could be an ask from the front on a weekend of like, hey, our youth workers work so hard with the kids week in and week out. We're trying to send them on a fun retreat to just connect as staff and have some fun. If you have a connection for a place that might be a good fit, hey, just write that on your communication card, drop it in the offering, let us know. You could also send that out in your weekly parent communication email and just say, here's what I'm trying to do. Any leads?
Right.
You might get nothing, but you'll never know if you don't ask. So that tactic might even get you a better deal because they might want to do it for free for you. And so that's the kind of thing you're looking for. If your people are camping people, I've seen really great retreats done for low cost at a campground. And you can try to get bougie and see if like someone has a cool RV they'll let you borrow, or maybe you guys are just all cool in a tent. I don't know, however you want to do it. But that's another option if cost is a deterrent for you and keeping you from doing something. So if you're looking to pad that cost a little bit, we've talked a lot about the power of the snack shack, and it is amazing. So I usually do my retreat in November because we have all year to earn money at that snack shack. And I put that money into the leader retreat. And so that money goes towards renting the cabin, the facility. And it also goes to taking my leaders out for something. And I'll talk about that in a second. But if you're trying to figure out, well, how am I going to generate funds? The snack shack is the place to generate funds to do cool stuff. And it's not like we've talked about this before. You're not shady making some profit. It's dumping right back into your ministry to bless the people who run the ministry. Like that makes total sense to me. I also use Snack Shack money to do camp scholarships and stuff like that, but it's a great way to pay leaders back. Also, if you made a little money at an event, like we've talked about the Glover Nighter or something like that, if you end up making a little money there, pour it right back into an account that you're setting aside to take your leaders on a retreat. I like to do it in the fall, but whatever. I think summer to me, it's like too busy ministry wise. And then I just haven't been able to raise enough funds in the spring. So that's why I do the fall. And then another great way to save money on it is the food. So I've talked about this in a previous episode. So if you missed that one, this will be new to you. What I do is I come up with a menu for the weekend, and then I turn that menu into a shopping list, and then I turn that shopping list into a sign-up sheet. And I send that to the parents, and I say, if you'd like to donate one of these items for our leader retreat, this is going to help bless our leaders. If you've been looking for a way to contribute to the ministry, paid back, here it is. And then they drop off that food the week of the event. And it's wonderful because I got all these free groceries and it was spread among a lot of people. So nobody had to pay a ton and I didn't have to take it out of our budget.
It's almost like potluck for people that aren't going.
Well, and the cool thing about it is there's so many parents who throughout the year, they're like, I want to bless you. I want to help you guys. You guys do so much for our kids. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't need anything.
Buy a jar of spaghetti sauce and you're good.
But these moms and dads, they're at Costco all the time. Yeah. And so they're like, I'm at Costco. What do you need? And they get all of our, it's fantastic. And they love to do it. They do not mind.
Because like you said, when you spread it that far thin, like now you can have 20 different people or more getting enough stuff that it's like, if you ask one person for that, it would be like, I know that's a lot.
Like, here's my whole shopping list. But it's like, those like sign up genius things where they just sign up for tortillas and taco meat and whatever. And it's great. Yeah. And I've had parents go all out. Like this mom one time made this beautiful homemade granola. That's and cool. She like put it in this really cute gift basket with like all of the berries and toppings. It was so sweet. So some people get into it, and if they're not, they won't, but it's fine. It's an ask. Okay. So that's sort of like how to do it
cheaper.
Yeah. Cheaper and make it hopefully doable. And the second thing that helps make a successful leader retreat is communicating the dates early, because if you try to pull it off last minute, chances are people are not going to be able to come because they have school, they have work, they have kids, they have family, they have vacations. I find that November, if you do it after Thanksgiving.
That's what I was going to say. There is a dead zone.
People don't have stuff. You either do it right before or right after Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving's like one day. We travel for it. Yeah. But a lot of people don't. And we're back by the next week. I mean, you're not gone the previous weekend or the week weekend after Thanksgiving. Right. Usually nobody's doing anything those dates. I get a pretty, like, almost all of my leaders went last year. Maybe there was one who couldn't go.
And it's early enough that most Christmas parties haven't started happening.
Yes.
That's actually a great tip. If you guys want to travel somewhere, if you don't mind being in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they're like the cheapest flights, and hotel rates are usually pretty cheap, right in that post Thanksgiving, but like before probably the 15th of December.
This is free travel tips from Jeff.
I've done that many times. It's a great time to, if you have family out of town, this is totally going off track, but if you have family out of town, you're like, well, we're going to spend Christmas at home, but we'd like to see that family. Go out and visit them, and you can have like your own little Christmas before Christmas, and it's like half the cost.
Especially this year. Nobody's traveling because it's so expensive. So yeah, communicate it early so that they can arrange it. Like, I seriously tell my leaders like 10 months out because I book it that far in advance. So I'm like, I might as well tell you when it is. And then I remind them throughout the year and all of that. And inevitably some of them will be like, oh shoot, I made plans, but it is what it is. And so again, the distance thing really helps, because I had some leaders who were like, well, I can't commit to the whole weekend. So we go a Friday evening to like Sunday after lunch. And there's some leaders who are like, well, I have a commitment or whatever, or that's a long time to be away from my family or something. And so they'll be like, hey, I'll come up all day Saturday. I'll stay late into the night, and then I'll just drive the hour home later. And I love that. And it actually worked out better last year because I felt like it was this rotating door of like people coming in and out. And I felt like I got time with everyone, and the group never felt overly big. It was just fun. So that's a little strategy for the location. Close enough, but far enough to make it feel like you went somewhere. All right. Number 3, of course, keep it fun. So please don't see leader retreat as planning retreat. This is not work. Okay. So think about it as winter camp for your leaders, like winter camp without students, and you guys just get to have all the fun, right? So if you're going to do any ministry business stuff, just keep it encouraging. And an example of that might be you want to recap the year. Like, hey, did you guys know in this last year, we had this many first-time decisions, this many baptisms, this many new students. Here's a cool video. I've put together videos that the leaders didn't know about of kids thanking their small group leaders, cool. And then showing it. Make sure you like get everybody in there if you do that. Like keep it positive if you want to talk business, and keep it short. Like, let's not make the weekend about, I've made that mistake before. Like, okay, like we're going to like do some training, and it's just like buzzkill. So don't make it about that. Make sure you're keeping it 95% all just fun. So what do I mean by that? Here's some ideas that we've done. Play games. Throw burrito. That's the first time I've ever played it. Anomia. If you have not played Anomia with your leaders yet, what are you doing? You're going to make some enemies. People are going to hate each other.
What's a staff retreat without enemies?
Right. Just for a little bit. And then you'll get over it. But there's a lot of yelling. It's just so fun. Anomia. So easy to play. It's my favorite game in the whole wide world. Also, we always do fishbowl. And then we did this round where this is the best. One of my leaders was like, when we play that with our family, the last round, you put a sheet over you and you have to act it out in the sheet. So like no one can see
a ghost.
Casper, the ghost of Christmas present. And I don't think I officially peed my pants, but I was laughing so hard. Josh, one of our leaders, he was under the sheet and he was like doing all these motions and it just looks ridiculous. So that's like a bonus little tip there for you if you play fishbowl. We stay up late and we've played Murder in the Dark, which that's the one where one person's the murderer and they go around and they like kill people and then they fall and then you have to like try to guess who the murderer is. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. We've like brought The Office and just binge watched The Office and die laughing. One of our leaders brought his VR video games, virtual reality stuff. Oh my gosh, I was so funny to watch people playing VR that have never done it before. Me, oh wow. And he had some like horror games. It was so scary. I'm like, I can't play this
And
anymore.
then you put a sheet over you.
Turned off all the lights.
And killed people.
Say Bloody Mary 3 times.
Don't joke. Don't joke about that. That's like serious.
Shut up. And then we do fun stuff during the day, like going on hikes, or we went into our retreats in mountains. So we like went into town and did some shopping and fun stuff like that. Took some fun pictures. So that's some fun time. So that's a good time. Make sure you like strike that balance of structured kind of togetherness and fun. Like, hey, we're all playing a game, and just letting people chill.
Right.
Especially like people are busy, and just like coming up to a cabin and getting time to just sit on the balcony and have coffee.
Instead of needing a vacation from your mini vacation.
Yeah, like you don't have to feel pressure to structure every minute. So I'll usually say like, hey, we're going to head into town around 11. So you guys can do kind of whatever you want till then, so stuff like that. Number 4, affirm them. This is a really good time to do specific and awkward affirmations.
5 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact. Ready,
Yes.
go.
And everyone just watches you stare into each other's eyes. So we do something, I've mentioned it, I think on a previous episode, called the rug of affirmation, because
That's right.
our cabin has this bear skin rug. I don't think it's real, but this big furry rug right by the fireplace. And we turn on the fire and everyone sits around. And I would say, Jeff,
That's so
it's
awkward.
so awkward and cringy. Jeff, will you please join me on the rug of affirmation? And I sit there like kumbaya style. And then they come and sit with me and I hold their hands.
This is
No,
like
just
an
kidding.
introvert's nightmare.
I know.
Right here.
I love it. And I just tell them how much like specific things that I appreciate about them. The secret here is write it ahead of time, because I really like
Write it and read it, or just memorize it.
No, I read it and then I'll kind of say some more extra things off the cuff, but I find that I don't want to be grasping for words or stumbling or saying a lot about one person and not that much about another person. So for me, even though I'm an extrovert and I'm great off the cuff, I feel like I spend the week prior just writing a small paragraph about each person so that I know it's going to be well done, because I don't want it to feel unnatural.
Right. And not only that, I think if you give yourself the time, you can think of more specific things, and it might come off if you're like on the cuff, you're like, I can't think of anything.
Well,
you're
especially
really
if it's
nice.
a new leader, like that you don't know very well, and you're like, oh no, I don't know what to say. But if you think about it long enough, you can.
Yeah.
Or ask other people, why do you like this person?
Who is that person?
So yeah, we want to make the weekend all about them. So we're spoiling them, we're affirming them, we're taking the time to say the things maybe that we have been thinking, but never really took the opportunity to tell them with eye contact to their face on the rug of affirmation. It's weird, but you will love it. All right, number 5 and favorite, the food. We already talked a little bit about the food, of how to get free food. Okay, I don't want to offend anyone with this, but if you suck at food, like maybe you just have bad taste. Maybe you think a good breakfast is like
about like making food or
like
picking food out.
Picking food out.
Okay.
Like keep in mind, I'll just say that these are adults and they want delicious adult food.
Okay.
Like don't throw a box of Lucky Charms on the table and say it's breakfast and Sunny Delight.
A lot of people would love that though.
A lot of people wouldn't though. Like
you could say that about everything.
But I mean, that's something that you would do for junior high. Like just keep in mind, this isn't youth group. So when you're planning the food, plan very good food. And if you don't trust yourself to do that, if you are not a foodie or a good cook or have good taste in food, then delegate that to someone who is, maybe there's someone, their spouse, and you've gone over there for dinner and the food was really good. Say, hey, if you were cooking for a group of 10, 15, 20 for a weekend, what kind of meals would you do? And what would you need for that?
And could you do that on this date for this?
And can you come to our retreat? That is actually my other idea. Because I was going to say, so you have all the food, now what?
Right.
I'm usually the one who cooks for my leaders at our retreat. My staff will help and a few of the leaders will help, but it's not required. Sometimes it's fun. Like we're all in the kitchen making food together.
You don't say that about me. You always say I'm in the way.
You never help me cook. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
Right? And even when I am cooking, you're standing in the way.
That's what you say. I could be on the ceiling and you'd say I'm in the way.
You want to know why? Because the kitchen is a workspace and you use the whole thing. So you just planting yourself somewhere.
No, it could be.
That's why you don't put furniture in the kitchen, because you are.
I could be in the light fixture.
Anyways, we'll fight later. We can fight later.
You're blocking the light. Okay, go ahead.
So if you want to bring someone with you to cook, like, okay, like maybe that's their only job. Like you tell them, hey, we're doing a leader retreat. Do you want to come be our cook? And I know people
want to sell it a little bit.
You want to be the butler? You can clean up after us if you want. And maybe somebody would be totally into that. I've heard it done. I've never brought a cook with us because I cook, but I've heard of other pastors who aren't super into cooking, like bringing someone up who's like really good at meals and can get them out quick and stuff like that. So yeah, try to like brainstorm what would be actually good meals that adults would enjoy. And it like can't be camp food. So with that, I like to tell my leaders, hey, why don't you all bring a treat to share? So then we have tons of snacks and desserts and treats. And then with so this is beautiful. There's usually a parent who will say, I didn't have time to go to the store. Can I just give you like $20 to $50 for your retreat? And I say,
but what am I going to do about the food?
I say yes. And I use that money to take my leaders to pie. So we go to town one day and the place we go is called Julian and they're famous for their pie. Strawberry rhubarb will blow your mind. And we all go to pie, and usually to take my whole entire staff costs like $50, which is usually the amount these people give me. So I get them coffee, ice cream, pie. We sit outside, and that's like the splurge treat thing that we do.
This is a phone. Phone in my lap.
This is a phone.
In my lap. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
man.
Here I am in the kitchen again.
You really killed the vibe. Oh, man. All right. So we're going to wrap it up, but just make sure you're not roughing it. Okay. Here's why. They've been roughing it all year. They've been roughing it in their small groups. They've been roughing it at camp. They've been sleeping on the floor. They've been sleeping in a terrible bunk bed. They've been eating camp food and cold pizza. And now it's time
to splurge
and make this nice. Now, it doesn't have to be 5-star red carpet, but don't be lame and just be like, we're having quesadillas for lunch and potato chips. It's like, come on, like put in some effort, because people have arranged to get time off of their family, their work. Just pick up your phone. You're scooting it with your feet. Just pick it up.
I'm gonna need it later.
You're like listening.
No one else knew that.
Like keeping eye contact with me, but I could
not paying attention to anything you're saying. Why
trying to move my phone with my feet.
Hello, phone. Welcome back.
Jeff missed you. He was desperate.
I got some texts.
You.
Just so you know.
Who? Your dad?
Doesn't matter. You're never gonna
Your
know
sister. Now. Whatever. So that's it. That's all. So Jeff and his phone are going to give us the question.
Yeah. Well,
of the
before
day.
that though, I do have something to contribute. So another thing you could probably add to the whole like cheaper side of renting a place is figure out, and this is specific probably to where you are at in the country, but there's certain times of year that's like, it's way cheaper to go to this place this time of year.
Ah, yes.
And I mean, as long as it's not like it's cheap to go to, the desert in the middle of the summer because it's 1,000 degrees. But there are those places that it's like, this is a big, in the summertime, this is a really like popular area. So it's like, well, then don't go there because it's going to be more expensive, but it's still beautiful in the fall or in the spring or maybe even the winter, depending on where you're at. So I think if you can kind of work around some of those things, you could still enjoy the place. It could be really cool, and you're not paying premium prices for the same place.
Yeah. Good.
So,
yep. Good tip.
I wanted to add that. All right. So let's do a question of the day. And the question of the day is, as I grab my phone, what is a text message that you sent on accident? You're like, which one do I choose?
I know. This has happened to me a few times.
I'll give you a second to think. I will say one while you're thinking. So there was a leader at our youth group who,
when Jeff used to be a leader.
Yeah, when I used to be a leader there, and he had texted me asking if we were going to have pizza that night. And we had pizza like every night, I feel like.
No, it was
it something special?
But then it was the first Tuesday of every month.
Oh, that we did pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So he was confirming, hey, are we having pizza tonight? And voice text and autocorrect ruined many text back. And I meant to say, yes, sir. It said, yes, pig. But fortunately, I did catch it before I sent it. But I kept on thinking, oh my gosh, the reaction would have been to your question, are we having pizza tonight? And I would have said, yes, pig. Like, we had a pretty good relationship, though. He would have thought it was funny, but still, it would have been a little awkward.
I always wonder if he would have believed you.
If I said, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I could have shown him some reason.
You call me yes, pig a lot. It's like become now a phrase. Like if I don't know, like if I'm hogging all the popcorn or something.
That's when I call you a huge hog beast.
But you do call me a yes pig.
Yes, pig. So you guys can take that too. Yes, pig.
Okay, mine. Oh, I still cringe when I think about it because I actually did send it. You caught it before it sent. So I had a roommate before Jeff and I got married, and I came home and I had made breakfast that morning and I was in a rush. So I left my like egg pan on the stove and I was going to come home and clean it. It's just I didn't have time in the morning. Well, she had cleaned up my breakfast mess, but she had left her paintbrushes and her mess all over the place. So I texted Jeff, air quotes, and I was complaining to him. I was like, oh, I love how she cleans up my mess, but leaves her mess all over the place. I guess.
And it was cleaning up your mess kind of as like not as like
sending
a kind
message.
gesture.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. It was sending a message, and the message was received. But I told Jeff, I'm like, oh, I love how my mess is the only one she sees. She cleaned up mine, but left her stuff all over the place. Only I didn't send it to Jeff. I sent it to her, and then I went and hid in the garage. And I'm like, how do I get out of this? There's nowhere to go. No escape.
That's awesome.
Once you send a text message, I wish there was a delay on text where there was like a 30-second like grace period where you could be like
on email now. Like email,
yes,
I know
I think they do.
It says like undo.
Yeah.
And there's been sometimes, I don't know how long your grace period is. I don't think it's very long. But
okay.
So it's kind of nice to have that. But yeah, if it was text. But then it's like once it's been sent, I don't know how they could like, oh, sorry, you can't see that.
Oh, they got to find a way.
Right.
This is painful because I have more stories. That's not the first time or only time I've done that.
If you're ever going to say anything bad about somebody or calling them a pig inadvertently, double check who you're sending it to. Hey, let's do a community comment of the day. This comes from Paul K., who's from GFC Tremont. He says, I co-lead a youth ministry at a new campus in Pennsylvania. I love binge watching you guys on YouTube and have learned so much. I truly appreciate you sharing your wisdom and past experiences. You both rock. Thank you, Paul K.
Thanks, Paul K.
Thank you, Paul K. I almost said, I love you, Paul K. He didn't write that. He wrote, thank you. But I love you, Paul K.
I was going to say, he might want to know that you love him.
Thank you guys so much. Hey, if you have a text message that you accidentally sent somebody, we would love to hear about it. Put it in the comments below.
We promise we won't tell.
Just use a different name in the text or in the comment.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we appreciate you guys watching and listening, and we will see you next time.
5 tips to help you lead a successful leader retreat.
To help you amplify tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff. We hope to see you here next time.
I don't know what you said.